Online restaurant guide Zomato has expanded its presence in South Africa with the launch of its operations in Durban. Pooja Khanna, who is CEO of Zomato South Africa, and Michael Cowan from Deloitte Digital join us now to discuss South Africa's online consumer landscape. Let's start with you, Pooja. Give us the landscape of this company Zomato, which sounds something like the chutney we were talking about earlier in the program. We had a little test of chutneys here, so Zomato sounds like neither one thing nor the other. But just tell us of the company and where it is at the moment.
All right. So Zomato is an online restaurant guide. We give detailed information about all restaurants in the city. We started 5 years ago in India, and in the last 1 year, we've been actually focusing on extending our presence outside of India. So yes, that is where we are in Zomato. We are now in 11 countries. We've recently expanded presence to 3 more countries. So yeah, that's what
it strikes me that it's a you know, you go online if you want to Google a restaurant, for example.
Right.
I did it yesterday. The restaurant, you want to know about it and want to know how to get hold of it and how good it is, and you come on, and of course there's just thousands of names that come up.
That's right.
So how do you differentiate yourself?
So we differentiate by ourselves by content. So we believe we have the most comprehensive content. We actually follow a very feet-on-street approach, wherein our team actually goes to every restaurant in the city to collect data. So we don't rely on any secondary platform of data. So we are always updated. We always try to remain updated and have the maximum concentration of restaurants on the website. So.
Michael, let's come to you in the South African landscape of things. David mentioned that he does use the web to search for restaurants, and I think this is something new for many South Africans, a tool like Zomato.
It is. To a degree, and I think we need to differentiate. You know, what Zomato is doing is offering fantastic utility and growing scale around a community. But we've obviously had a lot of success with a lot of online retail. We certainly look at the Kalahari, the Zandos, so there has been a lot of success. So it's fantastic that it's enabled platforms like Zomato to come in. And why it does so well is it's offering incredible utility, and it's really social proof. You know, you go online, you see a great review, you know, you've got your great reviewers there, you've got 200,000 unique browsers coming through. So it's fantastic. You've got 5,000 restaurants that you can actually pick from around the country.
Pooja, I'm volunteering as one of your reviewers. I always wanted to do this. I want to move away from just doing chutney in the morning. But there's a resource issue here, and I think a lot of these websites have limited resources and they try and get away with it. So they have summaries of menus and things like that. So for credibility, you've got to have good people whose opinions you can trust, but you have to pay them. So what is your investment resource allocation in terms of the output, and how do you make your money to pay for it all?
All right. So we actually stay away from the editorial platform. We allow normal users, people who come to the website to look for restaurants, to actually write reviews. You know, so we've observed that people would rather trust their friend while going out in what he says about a restaurant than an editor he probably does not know. So we stay away from giving any sort of recommendation by ourselves. So whatever reviews or ratings that you see on the website are done by the users of Zomato. How we make our money? Well, given that we have such a huge database of restaurants, restaurant owners pay us to sort of get more visibility on the website. So we have a very geo-targeted sort of advertising model, and that's how we make our money on the website.
Michael, just coming back to some of the challenges that maybe a firm like Zomato could face. We know that broadband penetration in South Africa is not as accessible or isn't reaching the targets that it should have, whereas in India, that's a different story. Right. What else lies as an obstacle?
I'm not sure that is as much of an obstacle as you think. We have an internet population, the numbers are a bit subjective, of about 12 million. We have probably about a 25% smartphone penetration at the moment. So the numbers are definitely there. And if you're looking at Zomato's target audience, probably your higher LSM, they are online. So that is not as much of an issue as you would think. So I think that's opening up a tremendous door to platforms like Zomato and driving the adoption of those kind of platforms. The limitations for platforms like Zomato are pretty limited because it's about the community. It's about getting the right people engaged and driving the value through the utility that the website is offering. So there's very little limitation for platforms like Zomato. Obviously, from an e-commerce perspective, it's a little bit different. You have logistical issues, but that's a different conversation entirely, I think.
I want us to touch on that just a little bit, just to get a few more insights on it. E-commerce, we know that there's certain retailers that are doing fairly well at it. You mentioned the likes of Zando, the Kalaharis, as well as I know Woolworths and Mr. Price are doing it fairly well as well. Logistically in South Africa, how long will it take maybe for us to overcome that kind of challenge?
I think it depends on each retail and how they're actually structuring their distribution network. But it is a major obstacle. It really is. Everyone is going to be different. But the fact that the top e-commerce sites are performing shows that they are getting it right. I was at the World Retail Congress, and it was an issue that was debated last week quite extensively, and it is still a major limitation. So I think there's a long way to go, but the key players are getting it right, and they're evolving into it.
Pooja, South Africa as a place to do business, and I suppose in the field that you're doing, in a restaurant sense, but more broadly, what's it been like for you? The notes that we got said you came into South Africa with Johannesburg in April, then Cape Town in July, Pretoria, September, and now Durban.
That's right.
So what's it been like? How easy has it been?
So South Africa is actually one of our best performing markets. The response that we've got from users, we see the number of visits going up on the website every day. Plus, the most important factor for us, restaurant owners actually see the value that we bring to their business. So that has been very encouraging. In fact, that is the confidence that we got to expand into Cape Town, Pretoria, and Durban within a year of launching Johannesburg. So it's been very overwhelming, and we expect the trend to continue, both in terms of the users and the restaurant industry.
Regulatory issues, are there any for you?
Well, there are always regulatory issues, but not too much. Nothing that keeps me awake in the night, actually. So yes, it's been pretty good.
Are you surprised by the uptake, Michael, or not at all?
No, not at all. If we look at, certainly just as an example, on Facebook, we're seeing What's for Dinner having one of the biggest pages in South Africa. There's a key drive around the subject matter of restaurants, food. It's part of what we do every day. We eat 3 times a day. So it's not surprising, not at all, because there's tremendous utility. And the site like Zomato, sorry, I'm getting confused here, sorry.
Shoes and paint
Yeah,
fashion and
shoes and
restaurants.
food, yes. But there's definitely a value equation to the user base.
I take it lots of lessons here to be learned as well by corporate South Africa, as well as small businesses who want to access the online purchasing space.
Absolutely. There are a lot, and it's about a digital business as opposed to just putting up a website and going for it, because this is a complete digital business, and there's a business model to it. And quite often, a small change in that business model will have a fundamental difference to the success of that business model.
Well, worth exploring further. That was Pooja Khanna, CEO of Zomato South Africa, and Michael Cowan from Deloitte Digital.